Welcome to Personality with Ari Garber. Pretty excited today. I'm joined by a gentleman who is going to be regarded as a traitor after this appearance. Gerald, aka Jerry Dahl, welcome to my show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, buddy. Jerry and I have known each other for a couple years, and he is normally on the other side of the table. He is a very accomplished attorney, and he has agreed to reveal some of the secrets of his trade today in terms of how to protect business owners from doing really stupid things that wind them up in court with them. So as much as you were willing to share with us today, thank you for being here, and we're excited to hear what you have to say. First of all, let's talk about your area of practice. Not sort of the sexy thing we entrepreneurs think about every day until it's sort of the oh no moment. Where do you practice, and how did you get into it?
I'm practicing with GWC, Goldberg, Weisman, and Cairo. I practice in the area of workers' compensation. I've been doing it for over 20 years. Workers' compensation, basically, it's representing people who sustain on-the-job injuries, occupational injuries. So I'm normally on the opposite side of the employers. Do a lot of union work, represented people who have been injured from, Waukegan down to Cairo. Covered everything from people, clerical workers, office workers, professionals, industrial workers, tradesmen. That's what I've done for 22 years. That's what puts bread and butter on my table.
And is that where you started your legal career, or did you come into it in some particular
That's
fashion?
actually where I started. And when I first started, I did what normal civil cases, automobile accidents, slip and falls, Social Security, disability cases, and then workers' compensation. And just over time, my practice basically developed into 100% workers' compensation.
Got it. And so this is intellectually fascinating for me because I have just no experience in workers' compensation. A, I have never really sustained an injury on the job. B, I've heard about it, but don't really know anything about it. And I'm an entrepreneur, but I kind of exist in the quote-unquote white-collar entrepreneurial world, data, technical, professional services. I always thought workers' comp was for drywallers and painters and tradesmen.
No.
But you're scaring the heck out of me before we started this taping. So who is workers' comp for?
Workers' compensation basically covers any employee in a business in the state of Illinois. And even if you're not an employer involved in the industrial trades, construction or anything else, if you hire, and you and I discussed this briefly earlier, you hire somebody to come in and build a building for you, do a renovation, do a build out or something, you have to make sure that they have workers' compensation coverage.
And the reason you and I discussed this before is because I said basically the same thing before we started shooting, that like I never thought I needed this, but oh, wait a second, my wife and I are rehabbing our home. Clearly we should check that there is workers' comp insurance in possession or in force for our contractors. But where it really shocked me was, hey, we have this nice office, we're in downtown Chicago, but let's just say one of our account reps slips on the kitchen floor, God forbid, and hurts themselves. We need workers' comp for that too, which I never really thought about. That's an on-the-job injury.
Correct.
So how do I go about figuring out if I need this? If I'm an employer, I need this.
If you're an employer, you basically need it. I would suggest you talk to your insurance representative.
Oh, okay, but not my attorneys. Just go talk to my insurance.
Talk to your insurance representative. Talk to your insurance. I mean, that's what they do. That's what you're paying them for.
Okay.
And if they can't answer the questions, maybe you need to find another insurance agent.
Broker.
Yeah, you got to talk to your broker on this.
So it's a good thing I have a broker interview scheduled, my insurance broker interview scheduled for next week. So we're going to follow up, and we'll probably come back to you with some questions to make sure that our insurance guys are doing the right things. When I'm talking to my insurance broker, what should I be thinking about? Just they'll know what limits I need and what sort of policy
you need to know what policies, how many employees you have, what your employee is doing. In Illinois, if you send an employee out to do something, some chore where they leave the premises, okay, and they have an accident, they get involved in a motor vehicle accident, they'll have a workers' compensation case against you, against the employer.
And not because their auto insurance.
Well, they may have one against their auto insurance.
Okay.
They may actually have a case, if they get T-boned or rear-ended, all right, they're going to have a workers' compensation case against the employer because they got hurt during the course and scope of their employment. They're also going to have a potential case against the guy that hit them, all right? Now, you're going to have to pay the workers' comp. Now, you actually do have a lien. You can recover some of your liability on the workers' comp case against the third-party case if she recovers against the driver, okay? You can get some of that back, but you're still going to have liability. You're still going to have exposure.
So this sort of conversation is precisely why I have excellent counselors on retainer, such as my insurance broker and attorneys. Even with everything you just said, I have only a very layman's understanding of what goes into this. So knowing that we're partially into this interview and the value you've driven for our audience and for me personally, first of all, thank you, has been huge already. I just was ignorant. I didn't know what I didn't know here. There have got to be things that guys like me who are ignorant do, which are just unbelievably boneheaded. And just through ignorance, there's got to be something where I could do it better. What are you seeing out there where guys who are well-intentioned but ignorant are doing that they could save themselves an awful lot of time and money and pain?
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but having insurance coverage is one of the medical costs today build up so quickly. I mean, it's a geometric progression. You go to the emergency room, you go to the doctor, it adds up. Workers' comp is a limited remedy, okay? You get necessary and reasonable medical paid for. You've got to pay 2/3 of their salary while they're disabled, and then you have to pay them for permanent disability, right? It's not pain and suffering. It's actually a capped system. So remember, it's a no-fault system. It doesn't matter if the accident was your fault, if it was the employee's fault, if it was a random act of God. Somebody goes into the bathroom and slips on water, and they fall, and they're at work. That's covered under workers' comp.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you for a second here. Maybe as an attorney, this is totally natural to you, but everything has a fault. I'm an American, damn it, I want to blame someone.
No, you're American. Okay. There's no issue. It's a no-fault system. Workers' comp was one of the original social insurance policies, dating back to the early 1900s.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Right. So if you get hurt on the job, right, and it used to be you'd have to prove up that it was the employer's fault, right, and you'd have to prove that they were more than 51% negligent in order to recover. In the meantime, you've got no income coming in, you've got nobody paying the medical bills, you, your wife, and kids out the street. So they put in this compromise act. It's literally an entire compromise between labor and management, where if you get hurt on the job, we're going to pay you for your time off. We're going to pay you for your medical bills, and we're going to give you a settlement. And the whole goal is to get you back to work and get you paid with caps as quickly as humanly possible, okay? When you're talking workers' comp, you're not talking about $4 million, $12 million, $15 million verdicts, okay? The Workers' Comp Act, there's caps on death benefits.
Right.
Okay, so $500,000 for 20 years of benefits, whichever is greater. Okay, so when somebody comes in and tells me they want $1 million for the workers' comp case, I'll tell them, fine, if I have 2 stiffs on my desk, I can get you $1 million.
Okay, we're going to try and avoid stiffs here. We are only just touching the surface here, and we're already at the end of our normal time allocation for meetadvisors.com video. But this has been fascinating to me, both in terms of an intellectual discourse on our culture and where this emanated from, how it's developed, and oh my God, I'm ignorant. Somebody, for the love of God, teach me about this stuff. I can't thank you enough for being here. I don't want to put you on the spot to appear in future videos. I know your time is super valuable. But if our audience has follow-up questions, can they email through the website and you'll respond? So
no problem.
Jerry's been kind enough to volunteer to be one of the Meet Advisors advisors in limited fashion and broad brushstroke questions that would be of interest to everyone as opposed to particular pointed questions. Keep in mind that he is an attorney and this was not legal advice. He is not on retainer for you. So this is just general educational stuff. Jerry, thanks again for being here today. I really appreciate it. And great seeing you. It's been a lot of years and you look fantastic. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you much.